Gonna call today's meeting to order. Jen, will you do roll call, please?
Tom McDonald,
Here.
Len Tiki, Jennifer Finley, here, Jim Molitor, Carol Langford, Terry Pitts, Bing Matt, Ellie Bundy, Martin Charlo, Mike Dolson,
I'm here.
James Steele Senior.
Thank you, Jim. I'd like to start today's off with a prayer from Len. I'm left, Len. All right, we'll start out with our minutes for your review from December 1st.
Motion to approve with corrections.
Motion by Len to approve the December 1st tribal council minutes with corrections. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On page 9, where I was making reference to animals and the highways, it's Highway 28 and Highway 382, not 282. 382.
Thank you for that correction, Mike. Seconded by Mike. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, show of hands. 7-4, or no, 8-4 7-4, one abstention.
Can I partially
Thanks, Jim.
abstain?
Pardon?
Can I partially abstain? I was on council for part of it. Can I put that I went to attend the White House Summit?
Sure,
Partially?
partially. She did a half blank job. No, I'm just joking. All right, we have today's agenda before you. Is there any additions? We have 2 walk-ins. Jen?
2 walk-ins, and I have, 2 Ts wanted me to have Jody on for a discussion, so that will be an executive after the 2 walk-ins if
Okay.
possible.
Okay,
So I have Law and Order, and I have Dave Wall. It's up to you which one you want to take first.
all righty.
Dave Wall for
Any other additions to the agenda? See none, I take action, approve today's agenda. Motion by Jennifer to approve today's agenda with additions. Second by Mike. Any further discussion? See none, all those in favor? Show of hands. Unanimous. All right. Go ahead, Jen.
Dave Wall.
Dave, come on up. We had Chief Couture come over here and just go ahead and just throw you in the clink right now, Dave. He knows you're up to no good. Oh, you Polson guys are. Okay.
I'm a disabled hunter and I want some help, with retrieval and stuff. I was in here about a month ago and I just kind of want an extension on it. And, I'd like it for a month again. And then fill out whenever I start hunting for the date when it starts. That's the way we did last time and stuff. I didn't get anything last time, so.
All right, Dave, you were unsuccessful and you want another go at it.
Yeah,
And the same designated assistants as you had last
correct.
time.
Son and grandson, or grandson, I mean.
Motion by Mike to approve the disabled tribal hunter assistance authorization for Dave Wall, second by Jennifer. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, show of hands. Um, 7-4, one negative. Len voting no. Good luck, Dave.
All right, thank you.
Take it easy, neighbor. Chief Couture, I heard that there's someone retiring today. My golly, I can't believe it. You're gonna have to bring on 3 to replace them. So.
I wasn't sure that we were even gonna get him in here today, so yesterday Louis had to kind of force him and said, you will be here today. We thought we were gonna have to arrest him and drag him in here and then keep him as a detainee for a period of time, but he's here. It's his last day. Louis said something pretty cool this morning, which I didn't realize. I don't even know, did you realize that? That it's almost exactly 44 years to the day. So had he left yesterday, it would have been 44 years exactly, but Louis, 44 years and 3 months, but Louis blew it for him. So his plan was to go on the 8th, so he didn't make it, but 44 years is a huge milestone. Les was responsible for hiring both Louis and I at one point, and he's done a lot of jobs within the department. He's now our detective, or was until the end of the day anyway. He's our detective still. It's gonna be a hard man to fill. Shoes to fill would be very difficult. He's done so much and he's taught so many people throughout the department. The reason our department shines so well now is from him and Ron and the hiring they did through the years and the teaching that they've done. So that department wouldn't be the success it is today without Les and what he's done. And he's not a man of many words. He's kind of one of those unsung heroes who does his job and gets it done and does it very well. But he doesn't, never hear him complain. And I'm not, maybe he does, maybe his wife might have a different story on that, I don't know. But he's been awesome and he's gonna be missed. And I told him that this morning. I like telling him every morning, good morning, Les, good morning, Les. And he's just a good guy. So we're gonna do cake and I don't know if there's ice cream or not, cake for sure, and some sandwiches and stuff today at 2 o'clock. And anyone that can make it, we welcome you to come across the street to Law and Order. And I don't know if Les wants to say anything or not.
The support that the council has given our department over the years. Our department has come a long way in the last 44 years.
You don't have to hold it down.
But it would not be where it is today without the support of the council and the guidance of Craig and Ron and Louis. I hope the department continues in the direction it's going. And it's been my honor and privilege to serve the people.
Les, knowing you nearly my whole life and knowing that, you know, it's just a phenomenal feat to be in law enforcement for over 4 decades. And serving our people has been one of the greatest things that you could have ever done. And your level of service and dedication to public service is outstanding. And I want to make sure that you can come to our quarterly meeting in January so we can honor you and give you a full respect if you're not on vacation somewhere. Or you plan your vacation around coming to the quarterly, maybe that's better. Really would appreciate you coming in. But I can't overstate how great it's been to have you work in our law enforcement. And indeed, you've been our a major figure in our law and order program here on the reservation. So I thank you deeply from my heart, and your level of service has been fantastic. I really appreciate it. So good job and a great feat. I know you're still gonna probably keep busy. So, you know, it's gotta be something we can line you up with something, you know. Go ahead, Len.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and members of the council, and Les, thank you for your service to our people. I still recall, I remember you when I was a kid, and you may have picked me up a time or two back in the day, you know, but I always remember seeing you, you know, always there when we needed you. And we're so grateful for all the work that you've done for us, and what our law and order is today is because of you. So thank you, and I really hope you are able to enjoy your retirement, enjoy life, enjoy your family, and once again, thank you.
Thank you.
Jim, go ahead.
Congratulations, old man. I worked with Les way back in the 70s when I was the chief of police for the Coeur d'Alene tribe. And we came over and set up some training for special weapons and tactics. And Les was an active participant then. I've always admired the way he was so respectful to everybody around him. He carried himself well, he respected the position he was in, and he was really good to the community. I mean, that's something that sometimes is hard to do as an officer, but he did a really good job. Congratulations, Les. It's been an honor knowing you. I've always seen you and I waved and shook your hand, and I've always appreciated your attitude. I got to work with you as an advocate and as associate judge at times too. So very thorough in your job, your dedication to the position, to the department, and to the tribe. You know, it just speaks volumes. Thank you, my friend.
Go ahead, Carol.
Yeah, Les, I don't know how you've stayed looking the same for 44 years. I mean, honest to God, you haven't changed. And in fact, you look younger now, and I want that drug if there is one. But I want to say the integrity that you put towards your job has been unbelievable. And the stability, when, you know, me sitting up here and knowing that you were involved in things, I knew that there was honesty and stability, and I felt good about it, you know. And so, just thank you for the service and everything that you and your family have been through. Because being out on the front line like that is tough, and then to do it for 44 years is unbelievable. And I just can't thank you enough, and how much our friendship has meant. I mean, I remember the first day walking into Fish and Game over there, and it was right there where Law and Order is today with Frank Acevedo, and you know, before that, Danny Dumont, and then Ron McCrae, and you know, you brought a lot to that building, and people have great respect for you and great respect for law enforcement because of people like you. And so I just want to thank you, and whatever you need, let us know. I mean, we're here for you now that you're retiring, and I just hope you have a great retirement and do what you need, you want to do, you know, have fun, you and your wife, and just enjoy life now and relax, because there's nobody, you know, hopefully nobody's watching your back. I mean, hopefully we're watching your back, but nobody else is watching your back, if you know what I mean. Thank you, Les.
Go ahead, Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Craig and Louis and Les. Yeah, growing up in Arley, and you being, I know I'm trying to not start a fire here. Our thing just told me let it go, so I'm a little worried here. But yeah, you being, you know, family is something that, you know, means a lot. Sad to see you go, but also really happy that you get to spend some time with your family and enjoy life while you're still really young. And hopefully, yeah, just enjoy Babe and the family, and appreciate everything you've done. You gave me some words of wisdom one evening, and still sticks with me here. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Jimmy?
Yeah, Les, I just want to also thank you for your service, for the whole Tribal Police Department for their service. And, you know, it seems like every time, I've been around here a long time, every time there's something going on the reservation, I always see you there. And I'm gonna miss that. Powwows, everything that happens, you're always there. You've always been a good person to the people throughout. I watched it at the powwows and how you handle everything, and gonna miss that. You know, I wish you well in your retirement. Have fun.
Go ahead, Big.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Les, you know, when we was out working on Job Corps, we had a lot of fun with a few of the students out there, and I'm glad you were there to help us with some of them, because some of them got to be a little problem, you know, and that you escorted a few of them to the jail over here for us, you know, and to make things a lot better. And I really appreciated that when you did come in and give us a hand. And we'll miss you at the gate for summer powwow, you know, come in here and I was talking a little bit at the gate there for a few minutes, and way to go. But, you know, you've been in the valley up there for many years, and, you know, hopefully that I'll get to see you a little more than what I used, but we do now, you know. But it's been an honor for us to have you as an officer here, to, you know, for the members and council. You know, it's been a privilege to work with you, and, you know, being able to have your support when we need it. And I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, party at 2, huh? Wow. By golly, well, Les, will you come back January 6th?
Yeah.
Thank you. It really would be an honor to recognize you at that point in time, because I do want to say one thing that I'll echo. I think Carol said it, is that, you know, having you out there through the last 44 years, you have been a face of respect and honor and integrity, and that's been important. So you've done that for our law enforcement. So thank you. I want to thank you for that again.
Thank you.
The next issue will be with Jody Perez, an executive.
Okay. Louis, 44 years at least. Okay. All right. That's just sissy. Sissies get out at 44. Okay. And back to those guys who are about ready to jump on that smoke. Come on up, Ron.
Esquire. So I brought Justin Underwood. We're in asking for permission for a capitalized equipment purchase. Go ahead, Justin.
What we have going is we've got 4 trailers that we have on the line. Essentially, we got some supplemental funding from the region. And so no cost out of pocket for us. It's just going to be permission to go ahead and pull the trigger on them.
Any questions? Seems pretty simple. Motion by Jimmy to approve the capital equipment purchase for trailers. Second by Bing. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Unanimous? Thank you, gentlemen.
Mr. Chairman, any update on the bonus pay?
So we've been trying to get a retention bonus for our firefighters. It was a part of the infrastructure bill. And to date, nothing from, I haven't had a response. We sent a letter out, Tom sent a letter to the Honorable Deb Holland, Deputy Secretary of the Interior, and sent out a letter to Darrell LeCount. I think he's the top individual of the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Had CC'd the Office of Wildland Fire, who is over the Department of Interior and is the one that actually makes the decisions in this process. I've reached out to the regional office. We put together a letter signed by 6 tribes asking for an explanation why tribes were left out. Under the 638 agreement that we're in, there's a lot of language that ties us to the federal system. Everything that we do is through the authority of the Bureau of Indian Affairs. The superintendent has the signature authority, delegates the authority to us to operate the program. We follow all the federal rules and guidelines with training, qualifications, permission to drive, driving requirement, everything. The only thing we do is we hire and fire tribal. And we've been in a 638 agreement since, let's say 95, somewhere in there. It's been a while, and since then we burned 6 times as many acres. We burnt more acres last year than we did in the 1980s and 1990s combined. The cumulative effects of fire suppression have exponential fuel growth out in the wildlands, this commercial timber, and it's just continually growing fuel. And now we're getting more fires, more people reside on the reservation, more opportunity for fires. 85% of our fires are caused by people and human. And weather stream has changed significantly, and most significant for us anyway has been wind. It dramatically increases resistance to control wildland fires, and then spread comes out of that. And
You know, we had air attack over Elmo within, 40 minutes of that fire starting, it was 1,000 acres and running. It's just, things have changed. So with that, we've never got a cost of living increase. Our budget's been stable. It hasn't changed since '98. No cost of living increase. And, a gallon of milk costs a lot more than it used to. And it's been a challenge to try to figure out this 638 agreement, how they view it, how the world views them, how the Office of Wildland and Fire views us as firefighters. It's been kind of a slap in the face going through this piece. The intent of the retention bonus is to keep people employed into your program. People want to stay into your program. They've also looked at pay scale and trying to make it more competitive, where people want to be in this type of work. People want to spend their summers up on the mountain fighting the fire, right? And what we've seen recently is a lot of people don't want to. It's been tough to recruit. 21, we lost 25 people. A lot of them went to Mission Valley Power. A lot of them went to different jobs. And that retention bonus is important. It would retain our folks and have people actually eager to want to come work for us. A new pay scale would be nice. And they're saying under that bill that tribes won't be involved in that as well. So that's where the argument is. We sent up letters and waiting for a response. And
Can I
go ahead.
mention something? I know Rick and a few others had an expedition back to Washington DC, and I thought he said they met with Danes. So you might want to get with him to see if there's any additional follow-up. I've been waiting for the report on that trip, and so I just, maybe I missed it. And so if you could get with him and see if there's any follow-up that you need to do to Senator Daines to provide more information, but it sounded like he was like, definitely like, wow, I didn't realize this was going on, so thank you.
That report will be later this morning.
And we have been trying to lobby. That was the trip 3 weeks ago, meeting with the congressional delegation. I was unable to meet with Office of Interior, but we do have a Zoom planned. Just the schedule couldn't line up that last time I was there. So yeah, we're working on it behind the scenes. We're well, I'm doing a report right now, and there's a report this afternoon with Shane and Jordan, so all over it. So yeah, we'll be doing that as much as we can and advocating for you guys. I made some friends last week, so hopefully it'll work well. Appreciate it. Yeah, whatever we got to do. Yeah, we've got information. I'll send it out. I've got enough information. I think that it kind of arms. So the ruling that came back, so they went to a ruling on the infrastructure bill and whether travel programs should be included, which was a disappointment. So they obviously built the bill not thinking of travel programs or including them in the development of the bill. So the solicitor's opinion was that tribal programs don't qualify because we don't get federal retirement first, federal firefighters retirement, which is another slap in the face. So yeah, no, we don't get federal retirement, and no, we don't get the retention bonus. It's just like, and why they use that as they're determining, there's a red book that covers all federal agencies that we abide by, and I was wishing that would have been, and travel programs are even mentioned in that book, that we'll have fair and equitable consideration when it came to funding and opportunity. So I was hoping that they would pull that as opposed to looking at whether or not we got federal retirement, because I knew that going in, that we don't. It was just not good. But yeah, and if you guys have any questions on this, I'm more than happy to help.
Thank you, Ron. All right, next up, Steve and Sean.
Good morning. Glad you guys could make time for us. Sean is going to present a proposal for adoption of a resolution to apply for a grant, and I'll go ahead and turn this over to Sean, and he can give you the gist of what the grant's about. Go ahead, Sean.
Yes, thank you for letting us talk with you this morning. So the grant that we're applying for is through the infrastructure, the build program. It's for the temporary bridges. We don't have an exact figure at this moment. We're working with North Steel on getting a quote. We are hoping to purchase 3 temporary bridges that will be utilized for our timber sales and also will help with fire suppression. These will be easy to move. You could set them up in a day, less than a day, actually, about half a day. They have 10-foot sections, so you can add to them or reduce them to make them down to like 20 feet, up to 50 feet long. And yeah, so the ceiling amount for these grant requests is 175, but I'm thinking we're going to be right around say 140,000 max. It's kind of hard to get the exact amount because the cost of concrete has doubled and if not tripled in the last couple of years. But we're waiting to get hear from North Steel here in a few days to get an exact number figure. Anything else, Steve? Did I miss anything?
No, I think, it's a grant where there's no copay or anything. It's just a grant to the tribes to allow us to purchase these bridges.
Yeah, there's no matching funds or anything.
No matching funds. So it's there's like $8 million set aside from the federal government for tribes and other entities to apply for these monies to buy these bridges.
Any question from council? I know I looked at this funding and asked Tony about it last month, and he said they were doing exactly this. So that's great. You guys are applying for this. It's great to know that we could be successful in getting these. When you think about culverts getting burned out, the plastic ones burn away in the fires. It's great to have be able to have a temporary bridge tool to be able to put out there. So appreciate you guys going for this funding. Go ahead. Bing makes the motion to approve the resolution for the application for the federal grant for temporary bridge crossings. Second by Jimmy. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Show of hands. Unanimous. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Steve.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Education Department. Michelle, come on up.
I'm going to hand it over to Katie.
Good morning, everyone. We had to have education come because, as you know, we're in the finals of our closeout for FY22. It's a real simple one. If they have gone longer than 2 months to submit a journal entry, they need tribal council approval before we do anything with it. We're really fine with this because honestly, it's not education's per se fault on this one. They got a hold of the funder and found out that they could charge some salaries to one of their grants. They didn't find that out, get an answer until September 14th. So this actually saved on tribal dollars by them moving that journal entry. And they had every other program in and on time and certified just fine. So this is just really a funder's issue, but they saved tribal dollars.
Motion by Martin to approve the general entry. Second by Mike. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Unanimous?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I gotta sign that. Okay. We're at. Right here. Good morning, Greg.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of council. It's good to see you this morning. Just as a continuing thought with what was just presented, we're in the season where we're closing out fiscal year 22. And so there may be another instance where we bring another after time limit journal entry to the table. And I just want to make sure that we'll come and give you the analysis and give you the backstory or keep you informed as those things occur.
Thank you.
So today, in my resolution request here on section 18, the tribes are participating in a consortium for the State Small Business SSBCI, State Small Business Credit Initiative. We're in a consortium with the Apache Tribes of Oklahoma, the Mesa Grande Band, the Claywalk Cooperative, and the Shinnecock Nation. And this grouping together of our efforts to receive an additional ARPA funding distribution will help us in the coalition to bring funding to the reservation for small businesses that need some capital infusion. This SSBCI initiative is an ongoing matter, and the resolution today is designating, or is a request to designate the authority to request what's called the technical assistance funding from the Department of Treasury that comes with this SSBCI funding. So the overarching thought is that there is technical assistance money that comes with these SSBCI dollars, and we're trying to keep those technical assistance dollars in a concentrated area right next to the NCDFI, which is the Navajo Community Development Financial Institute, who is quarterbacking this initiative on behalf of the five consortium groups. So we're trying to keep the technical assistance money next to that group so that as the tribes implement these initiatives on the reservations, that there is technical assistance money that would come down to the tribes to help implement this on the reservation.
Any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
Motion by Martin to approve the resolution. Designating authority of the Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Foundation for the SSBCI Technical Assistance Grant Program Application Administration. Second by Mike. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Show of hands. Okay. 7-4-1 voting no. Carol? Carol's abstaining.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg. All right, Ruth, come on up. Yeah, you're next. You're like, do I go? Do I stay? Do I come? Where do I go?
Good morning, council. Page 23 in your packet, proposing to amend our fiscal year 21-25 multi-year funding agreement with Indian Affairs. So this will allow us to receive this one-time funding for tribal climate resilience. We've already, we will be receiving the funding of just under $300,000 for two separate awards. They'll be administered by tribal preservation. One is what they call the Lifeways approach to tribal climate resilience. The other is a youth engagement project that they will do in conjunction with Salish Kootenai College.
Any questions for Ruth on that one? Motion by Martin. Approve the resolution to amend the self-governance funding agreement for fiscal year 21-25 with U.S. Department of Interior. Second by Mike. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? 7-4, Len's out of the room. Alrighty.
All right, then, Mr. Chairman, I'll bring the form that you'll need to sign to begin the amendment process with self-governance. And on page 25, the second request to approve a request to purchase capital equipment by Tribal Health. They need to replace some outdated audiology equipment at St. Ignatius. So that request of about $11,000 is going to be met by our ARPA funds that were awarded in fiscal 21 for equipment. I also included the estimate.
Motion?
Motion by Carol to approve the capital equipment for Tribal Health.
Apologize for that voluminous paper.
Second by Jimmy. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Unanimous. Well, one out of the room, Len. Thanks, Ruth.
Thank
I'll be able to check my hearing in the future.
Chase Smith is on.
Jace, good morning. Good morning, Jace. Are you there?
Sorry, guys. I'm trying to get my deal clicked on. Good morning, Tribal Council, ladies and gentlemen. So today I'm actually down at the Intertribal Ag conference in Las Vegas with a pretty good team of people from home. But we got the Jocko K project, and we finally got our worked out the final details for the fish detection system. I know that was one asterisk that we left open on the original contract, and so I believe that it's about 178,000 additional requests for would be modification to contract 21-274. This is it's from Merck, so this allows fisheries to track fish as they move. Eventually, we'll have it at Lower J, Jocko K Headworks, and possibly at Upper S as well. So we'll be able to track fish as they move up and down the Jocko River, and it's pretty cool stuff. We have to have a special rebar, and so we finally got all the costs, and this would be the cost to add this to the Jocko K Headworks contract.
All right, go ahead, Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd make the motion to approve modification 2 to contract 21-274 for additional 178, 160, and 60 cents. Thank you.
Motion by Martin to approve the modification number 2. Second by Mike. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Unanimous. Len's out of the room. How the Montana boys doing down there, girls?
Doing good. A lot of good stuff. A lot of beef packing stuff. We're going to come back and get to work on a lot of really good stuff. So
good.
Appreciate you guys' time today. Thank you, Chairman. And you guys be safe with all the snow.
All right. Rub it in. See you, Jason.
See ya.
All right. I think we're going to take a quick break.
Yeah, I asked Shane and Jordan to log on at 10:10.
10:10? Okay, 10-minute break. Or 12-minute break.
But I also might be able to move Rick in there just before legal.
Okay.
So we can move the afternoon, get shorter.
Yeah. Yep. Some time for break, Len.
exclude Pat Jansen, the person that, does she still go by that? Somebody that served in the military and then somebody that come home and served her people after that, and I think she's still serving us.
All right. That's, yep, okay. This is are we convened? Okay. Always have to check. So, council, I'm pleased to give you a report update on the event that we finally got to have this year, the Veterans Honoring and Powwow. Okay. I always find it hard to believe people can't hear me. But, council, Mr. Chairman, the event that we had this year, finally, the 2022 Veterans Honoring and Powwow. And just to update you on the how the event transpired, our expenses, and just really what the whole event is about. And that next page, please. Oh, I can move it. Oh, good. She gave me control. I got the glasses on. So for many, many years, as you all well know, the Veterans Warrior Society is the one that began the powwow. I think they formed in the 90s, and they held the event pretty much every year. They had it at different venues. I remember one year, my daughter was in high school about 20 years ago. It was at Elmo, and one of the few times they ever had a celebration there. They've had it at Kicking Horse. They've had it at Arlee. They've had it in Mission. So this year, unfortunately, due to our planned event on the 12th, there were numerous deaths within a very short period of time. So we postponed to the 19th, and we had the event at Kicking Horse, which, you know, for a couple of reasons was the plan. St. Ignatius is a heavy use area for wakes and funerals now because of the Longhouse being closed. So if we just scheduled it there and had to cancel again, then we'd have been out of the venue. So we did go forward with that. The purpose of the association, as probably pretty obvious by the name, is to recognize and honor the veterans of our tribes, and all people, all veterans, all service people, regardless of tribe or race, are always invited to the event. We honor everyone and ask that they just come up and be recognized and honored. We provide them a token gift. I just gifted Councilwoman Langford and Chairman McDonald for members of their family. And if you should have any friends, family, veterans or service people that would like a shirt, just give me a holler and I'll set you up. The positions that we asked to help us, obviously our committee, we don't pay ourselves. We do this, you know, out of just simple desire and belief in the event. So, but we do call on some people to help us, and those people are like our war dance chief, our head man, our color guard, which is the Warrior Society, those sort of positions. And we do ask that, you know, we do, because we're recognizing service people or veterans, those are the people we ask. And we always are seeking donations and support, and we do fundraising. We have obviously received an annual donation from the tribe, $3,500 per year. We had 2 years accumulate because we had to cancel it in 2019. So we didn't take donation the 2 years after that. So with that, that donation plus the current year donation, you contributed $7,000 to that in the name of the tribe. We also have received some contributions from like Eagle Bank, S&K Gaming, and some individual businesses as well. And we actually had accumulated over $20,000 by the time we're getting to this year's event. So we just want to make sure that we always acknowledge and recognize the tribes, the principal donor, and then the health department staff at Kicking Horse, who just unfailingly stepped up and very willingly and helpfully got the event, or got the venue ready for the event. Kutuknik, who donated us a room for our drawings. Eagle Bank, who had made a monetary donation. Stuart Snap, an old timer, made monetary donations. Nine Pipes gifted us some things. and then individual donors, over the last several years. So kind of going back to our, very simple revenue and expense, we planned, as I said, for about a $22,000 event, and accounting for all of our funds, we were slightly to the good, which is always the goal. And then we kind of shift things around a little bit and get our kind of actual to the budget and the difference there. And we ended up with just over $3,000. We maintain a checking account at Eagle Bank, and that will seed us for any future fundraising. When I was visiting outside the meeting a couple days ago with Corky Sias, he had declared that Quicksilver would like to be a donor for next year. So we're already in that time. I would happily accept any of your donations. Just feel free to call me or give me a chat. I'd be happy to do that for you. And in the interim, I would just like to say that, you know, this is not part of my duties as obviously the budget director, but I'm able to kind of fit it in here and there with my work. And I don't think there's ever going to be a time or a place we would say we're just doing too much for veterans service people. So I gladly take this on as just things that I choose to do, and keeping the record of the names that the tribes recognize on the wall of remembrance at Eagle Circle, hosting this event. Every year we endeavor to do better and do more. And we were really happy to be out at Kicking Horse. That is I have deep sentimental personal attachment to the place. It's good to see that venue utilized, you know, for a happy celebratory occasion, and it works well for us. And I just want to note there were and are some building and facility structural type issues that are occurring with this old building, and I would hope that we could see our way to making those needed improvements in the coming year or so. But as I said, I was really thankful that we could use that facility, and thankful for all of your support. Any questions?
Thank you, Ruth. So you're recommending to continue to use that venue for next year?
Well, I do have a committee.
The two of you will vote on it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Chairman Trahan, and the Vice Chair Carmelita Matt, and myself, and then volunteer Jennifer. Yeah, we had thought about using Salish Kootenai College. They do charge a use fee, and that's very understandable. That's a large, very beautiful facility. That was one of the venues that the Veterans Warrior Society had used before. So we may entertain that notion. As I said, that the idea is to not get into a place where we'd have to cancel the event because it needed to be used for a higher purpose. So, but that is one consideration. And, you know, we do really want to see more support from our corporations. As I said, I don't see how they could say, no, we don't want to donate to that. we already feel we've done enough. I thought, well, I'll kind of lean on them a little then. Well, we would like to proudly list you as a donor or sponsor.
Yeah, it's been probably 30 years since they've been to a powwow at that gym. Long time. It seemed big enough, at least for that powwow I went to. But yeah, I get a little confused on, forgot that it got moved, the date.
I
And
know
then
Mr.
we realized it too
Mr.
late.
Ines was out there on the 12th. I felt really bad about that. Like,
Yeah.
And she's not giving the whole story because she's not doing all the fundraisers we did. She's not doing the 1,000 sandwiches that we had Councilman Charlo help us with. She's not talking about catering
You're
jobs.
saying people got sick? No.
No.
And then we done the catering job. If she's not even bringing up all the fundraisers that we did, and most of it was us just donating and volunteering. So she's not bringing all the stuff that she had us do.
Well, they didn't complain.
Well, good, because you get, and I know you guys really appreciate what you did, and sometimes it's a true labor of love, and that's what gives you value in life and giving back, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it doesn't even feel like work.
Yeah, well, no, really, you know, when you really Sometimes it doesn't at all. Go ahead, Jen.
And a leader like her that just, get it done, let's get this done.
She's saying I'm kind of a taskmaster, but
You think?
paycheck. So anyway, yeah, gladly welcome any input, suggestions, just anything at all. I see, as I said, that it's not possible without the tribe's support, so it's always.
Well,
fun to acknowledge it.
it's an incredibly important event and, again, these kind of recognition, this powwow is really important and that's why I asked if you're thinking really about using the same venue, then we would want to maybe identify what for that particular activity, what might be an improvement to see if we can't squeeze it into, some kind of maintenance or upgrade.
Yeah, I think, powwow or not, it's just because I've seen the facility for 50 or so years of my life and just kind of noting, gee, this, something's gonna have to get looked at and worked on a bit. But as I said, this really fulfilled me to be back there and to see all the great things coming about with that. Really happy that, I just want to say this kind of off the topic, that's one of the best things that we've done with the facility is to turn it to that community fitness gym facility for the public. It's very heavily used. It didn't seem like it could be being slightly out of town, but that hasn't seemed to bother people who are using it. So thankful that we have that. I know something is planned for the future in Ronan, but until it gets there, we do have that. That's a good thing. Very much.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you, Jen. Good job. All right, Rick's up. I think, is it Rick? Yeah. Okay, we'll move into executive session. By Martin to approve. Motion by Martin to approve the SKMM IDIQ contract and task order number 1. Second by Mike. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carol? Barely? Unanimous?
Barely. Thank you very much. It was a slog, but I appreciate it.
All right, we look forward to that workforce training task order. We're gonna have to take a 2-minute break and then you're up, Joe and Patty.
So Patty, what did I miss this morning? What did I miss this morning? I was going in and out of the meeting and I trying to get my picture ready for school and trying to get ready myself. Oh, okay. Perfect. Where? Okay. Yeah, I'd like to go. If I could, but I may try to go to Coeur d'Alene on my. Hey, Garrett. How are you, big guy? Check it out. Yeah. Go to the
The sun came up.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure did. I'm talking to Ricky.
Oh, you did? Hi, Julius.
Didn't mean we were playing car. Oh, yeah.
What's going on? They are?
You got a lot of snow? Yeah, I was down there. I was down in.
Oh.
Last week. Island.
What do you do?
Oh, yeah.
Do it on the.
Oh, yeah.
You wanna go down?
No, that's not. That one has really down.
I'll sit there at the desk.
Yep, down the road.
I'll include you as my district formal, I'll send you the invitation. Well, you look good at the party that we went to at time. Oh, please, that's hilarious. It's more. Well, I'm looking for a little bit of bling, but not. Yeah, so I'll send that to you. I'll send that to you right now. So how have you been? No, I'm fine.
Christmas bug.
Yeah, how's things been?
Oh, yeah. Okay, I've been trying to call you yesterday.
Family, family.
I didn't go to, I was gonna go down.
Now.
But anyway. Had a phone, so we're taking off pretty much. Hey, how you doing? Good. You're taking off early. Oh, geez. I got my mic on.
All right, let's get going. Good afternoon, Joe. Who's that strange guy you got beside you there?
Buffalo hunter. An old buffalo hunter.
Buffalo are out too.
Stories out there while we were waiting. I learned a lot.
There we were, facing down. Good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for staying around to hear us and get caught up on some of the activities at Tribal Health. We've got an agenda for you. We're going to start out with Dr. Pitts. We'll kind of complete the dental orientation for the council members who were not familiar with our dental program, and I've asked him to be short and precise with his time. 5 minutes. Yep. Oh, no, you gotta push that.
Just like we're in the dental chair, right?
Yeah. Yeah, open wide. Did everyone get a copy of, the information that I'd sent? Oh, there it is. Oh, wow, gee.
In our packet.
PowerPoint, huh? Yeah. So, you have more than enough information in your packet. But what I thought I would do based on the amount of time that we have, those pages that are numbered, so can we click to page 1? Or slide up there.
Their numbers are up here again.
Oh, okay,
So
so
when you
9,
get to the page, let them know which one.
okay, so yeah, so 92. Dental program overview, just a quick run through with that. Congressional appropriation, 925,000, third party reimbursement. We actually make money. What are we making now per visit? The 550, 60, 70, something like that. But anyhow, as you can see, our user population is 11,000. Demographically, we've talked about this before. Ronan North, we're looking at 64%.
of the patients, which means that Polson gets hit pretty hard. St. Ignatius, we're looking at 36%, and yet when I take a look and there's information about each of the providers, I collect that information as far as the production is concerned. And
Just one question.
Yeah, yep.
You're not telling me if, I'm assuming most of it's coming from Medicaid reimbursements,
Uh-huh.
not insurance,
And some insurance.
some insurance.
Yeah.
Do we know how many, potential clients that are Medicaid eligible that are going to other dentists?
Joe can help me with that, but over 75% of our kids, and we'll get into the kids, are Medicaid eligible. So, and as you'll see, Dr. Burke, our children's dentist, is doing a fabulous job, right? Yeah. We got to work really hard to keep this gentleman. You know, the patients are coming in. I was trying to get him to come this afternoon just to say hi and meet everyone. But he's got patients coming in and they're not canceling. So,
So I guess my question would be is if we had all the eligible Medicaid folks coming to tribal health,
yeah.
what would be that amount?
Well, that's a really good question.
Because of how healthy they are, huh?
No, because it really does. I mean, and you'll take, I'll show you a picture here in a few pages. But we're just talking about the evaluation of success. That board, that a bunch of kids' pictures on it. We're seeing 60 to 70 kids a month that don't have any cavities. That is astronomical. That's based on the prevention programs, the sealants, the varnish at Head Start, and all these external issues that we're doing are really, we're starting to reap the benefits of that. But then to have an outstanding dentist that, like Dr. Burke, that's providing the fillings and the crowns, and you probably saw some of the pictures of next week he'll be working on 4 kids in general anesthesia up at the hospital. Really breaks your heart when you see some of those cases. But
The reason I asked, 2 of my children were Medicaid eligible.
Okay.
And so they didn't come to tribal health. They went to private dentistry
Sure.
because it was easier to do.
Sure.
And they could get in and readily easy to get in.
Right.
So it was a matter of availability.
Availability, access, it is. And that's later in the discussion about our children's program. I'm asking to get support for 2 more chairs. He can run those. We could then cut in to that waiting list, you know, that we have. But he can only see 22 kids a day.
So you need 2 more chairs so your profit margin will even go up more. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Theory would be.
Right. You know, so besides, we have other ideas about how we can expand children's dentistry with a program with University of Washington that we'll talk about. I'm involved with the committee. We're going to have 8 students, dental students at Bozeman. I tried to get it to Missoula, but the whammy program's in Bozeman. But very, very exciting because it's focused on rural and native individuals. So, but yeah, very good point. Thank you, sir. That resource requirement manual down on the bottom, the rim, is just based on national PHS statistics. With the population base that we have, we could 10 dentists and 35 auxiliaries, 28 chairs. So we're really, really doing a lot with the 15 that we have. And we're very, very fortunate that we have such a great program from as far as the facility is concerned. But we just have a lot of patients, and then good old COVID really, really set us back. And you'll see in our production back in
2020, we had 6,000 visits. The next year we were up to 8, and this year we're right there knocking on 10. So everybody is working their tail off to get patients in and get caught up with that bulge that was, had to be put on hold. We ultimately did 500 crowns, 200 dentures last year, root canals, you know, blah, blah, blah. And we're working with Joe, has been very gracious about helping us utilize some of the funds that we do have in tribal health to open up some contracts to bring in more access to more providers for some of those services.
Go ahead, Carol.
I want to thank you for, you know, I don't know how it works, if it's law or what, that provided crowns to diabetics. You know, and Mr. Pitts, Dr. Pitts, I know you do a lot of legwork on, you know, trying to really get the people in there. And I wish every program in tribal health, and maybe they do, I don't want to, shouldn't speak out of turn because I don't know whether they do the same thing as your office does, because you guys are on the phone calling me, where are you at, Carol? Do this, do that, you know, and I appreciate that because sometimes you get so busy and you forget things, but
It is.
you guys have #1 staff when it comes to that kind of thing, and then the extra stuff that you do on the side. Thank you.
Because that's what makes the difference. You know, it's about relationships with our patients, and this is our community, and we're very, very excited. The staff are super good.
And it's not only relationships with our own people, but the relationships you have with universities and other organizations and other colleagues.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I just had a meeting yesterday at Folsom High School, working with the dental assisting program because we're short nationally, dental assistants and dentists and hygienists. They're just not there. And trying to put together a program to get students involved. It's a wonderful career for a lot of people. So it's not just about filling teeth, but it's about building that whole package of working with the community, the response of the community. Our broken appointment rate is 17% in the midst of COVID. We were down to about 13. By IHS, you're looking at 35 to 50% broken appointments. See, now to me, that's a testimony to not only our program, but our community now understands and recognizes and respects, you know, the type and quality of work that we're able to provide. So, okay, Joe, let's jump up to 93. Scheduling practices, we opened 8 to 5. That's all pretty self-explanatory. Page 94, dental program levels of services. So,
Go ahead, Martin.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
And thank you, Dr. Pitts. As far as the crowns and everything, are you guys thinking about helping cover that cost?
Oh, we do.
The crowns and everything, for the outside where you have to. Last time I came in, there was they told me I had to bring in $500, and I'm like, I can't make that tomorrow. Like I'm Carol, I forgot the appointment, and then it's like, so I canceled the appointment because of that, and then I got scheduled out 3 months.
And as Carol had mentioned, we developed a program for diabetics. The council back, oh my goodness, in the early 2000s, resolution that children and diabetics were priority. And as you can see, the numbers that we're, you know, our children's program is phenomenal. Our diabetic program continues to grow and access. We developed a program with the diabetes program, and they cover the cost, Martin, of a crown if you need a crown for a partial, because that dentition, the ability to chew is really critical to somebody with chronic disease. Yes. We work with the elders program to help support those costs as well. And once again, we're working on accessing those dollars that we could help patients cover those costs. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, if I could.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
If I could add, so I don't want to go through slide by slide. I think we're late in the day, so we'll try to focus the discussion. a couple things. So we have dental clinics in St. Ignatius and Polson, as you know, there's a limited number of chairs. We have, based on earlier conversations and the last conversation we had with you, we have, initiated an effort into entering into some contracts with some specialists in Missoula and Kalispell to provide some additional access to that specialty care that you're talking about. So we have a draft or initial contract with Kalispell Orthodontics to kind of start exploring how we might support some of that access to specialty care using that PRC pool of money. So we heard you. We need to expand those services and better use that resource that we have available to provide for care. So that's something I think we've worked through the contract phase, kind of working on the workflow internally as to how we get those approved and paid for. I think we've probably got our first set of bills that we kind of need to work through and make sure we get those providers paid, those orthodontists paid, so they don't end that relationship. We continue to have access to them.
There was a person that's not diabetic and they need a crown. Through that program that you just talked about, that could be paid for under that without having them to do out of pocket, because it's quite a chunk, I think, for somebody with that.
Especially today.
That's what we would like to explore. I think an important part of the conversation is in PRC. The pool is 11,000 for that PRC fund. So, how do we create some priorities so tribal members maybe have access on a priority list to that level of care? Because we know for a fact that we get residents from Browning or other communities come to access our dental care. So we've got to figure out a way to prioritize tribal members living here that get access to that additional level of care and not kind of open up the door wide open. So we're spending a significant amount of resources on descendants who live in Hamilton, for example, or members from other tribes who live in Missoula. So we've got to figure out a strategy to help manage that flow of patients. That's part of the work we've got to do going forward. Getting the contract in place and access to those specialists with that part of money was kind of the first step, but creating those priorities and that accessibility to what population first is kind of the work we're going to do going forward. Is that correct?
So can you explain what the services, so who are you providing services to and the catchment areas? Because I'm not sure everybody understands.
Sure. So there's a couple of ways to describe it. So direct care is available to anybody who has tribal affiliation to a federally recognized tribe and they live in the Chisda. So those folks can come to our clinics and have access to whatever we provide under our roof, essentially.
The Chisda is the 4 counties.
And the Chisda is the reservation and the counties that have a common border with them. So it would be the 4 counties. It would be Missoula County, Sanders County, Flathead County, and Lake County. So any residents in those counties also have access to our direct care. And the PRC or the contract care program is eligible to, again, people who live in the Chisda are eligible for that level of care. So we're trying to figure out how, given the amount of chairs and appointments we can manage, how do we create some priorities and access to that particular care with that large population, so we don't spend $12 million on dental care for everybody in the 4 counties.
I had 2 patients yesterday from Browning.
Were they
And-
Medicaid eligible?
Pardon?
Were they Medicaid eligible?
I don't know. They went through registration. That's another issue that we're trying to unwind. Comment was, well, I can't get into Browning. I hear you got a really good program down here. It's happening. I keep statistics of all the different tribes that we work on. Because I know this is my community. Yeah.
but those numbers are increasing. And, it's really disturbing when I can't get your kids in because somebody else has come over the hill and is blocking it, right?
Well, if my kids were paying customers, you can make money off of. Go ahead, Bing.
Yeah.
Maybe it comes up with some good ones sometimes. But, thank you, Mrs. Chair. After the first year for Medicare, Humana's gonna start paying $2,000 for dental work, so, is that gonna be, like you were just talking about paying for, crowns and everything else for, all the people? Now, are you gonna start charging Medicare for those, or Humana for that work, dental work on that?
Yeah, we're trying to unravel that mess, okay? The other group is veterans. When I was in private practice, if I contacted Helena, I've got a veteran that needs some work. They can't provide it over there. If they can't provide it, then they let me do it and they covered it. Those things, that whole package now is starting to loosen up as well. So it's another venue to give us, we're more than paying for ourselves, but we could then expand some of those types of services as well as the staffing that we need. June's about ready to quit, and if she quits, I'm done. She is just pulling her hair out because, we've got 22 kids today. There'll be 50 patients coming through Polson and 20 down at St. Ignatius.
Mr. Chairman, to your comment and being to yours, yeah, if they have an insurance or a payer, we'll bill them for the services we provide. So yeah, there's an associated revenue with the care we're providing if there's an insurance to pay for it.
Yeah, I mean, my point was that I don't mind if they're from Browning, if they got Medicaid, because we can charge for it. If they're not Medicaid eligible, they're a travel member coming here and it's eating up your budget, that's a problem.
See, and I don't mind helping that person, okay, that's in pain from wherever, but I have a problem. This person had signed up for optometry and they'd also signed up for the diabetes program. And that's just, to me, that's just not right. If I'm taking care of my community, yeah, I'd be happy to do that.
Go ahead, Bing.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Now on this $2,000 that Humana's gonna start charging, is a person able to use that towards crowns? Because,
I think so.
Instead of paying you the 200, or say if you got a couple crowns, that's 200 or $560 or whatever it is.
Right.
So, is that going to be able to be used towards there, or does a person still got to come up with that $280 out of per crown before they're able to get work done?
Sure, but I would think, and correct me if I'm wrong, you know that better, Joe, than I do, that if they were eligible and we're going to get, for say $2,000, Medicare is going to cover that stuff, we would just take care of that. But I would, just like we're doing with the surgeon in Kalispell, we would need to set a contract with them because he would provide that service, the crown. He has to make that crown. We have to pay him for it. We may not have collected the $2,000 from Medicare. Does that make sense? I mean, until it comes in, but we would then have that pot that, I totally agree with you. I think we're really excited about that potential. The other scary part though is Medicaid is once a month. They haven't started that yet.
They have not started that yet.
No.
So that's maybe another part of the conversation. Gary, I wonder if you could kind of explain the levels of care in dentistry, what we're
Sure.
prepared to offer, and then what we refer out and pay for
Sure.
outside of our clinic that's above ours.
So let's see, levels of care is 95. Is that listed? 96? Yeah. Yeah, I don't have those magic numbers, but, so urgent and emergent care, we've heard that before, goes up to level 3. So if you've got a broken crown, you've got an abscess tooth,
you need some surgical intervention. That's where that's where Browning is working. They did 40 dentures last year compared to our 200. In the same token, we provide our community level 4 and level 5, which goes up to crowns and dentures and partials and a much broader spectrum of care.
Gary, which ones do you do in-house and which do you refer out?
Well, we're referring out with this contract that we're trying out with KOS. We perform about 40% of the surgery in-house. And then there are cases that we can send up to Kalispell, and that group is really, really nice. We're getting really good reports from them, from the patients, okay? But just as importantly, as I shared with Joe, if I don't have to spend 2 hours pulling that tooth, I can spend 2 hours doing some fillings and a crown prep and bring in another patient. And so part of it is the efficiencies that we're trying to improve. And once again, like I said, COVID really shot us in the tail because we were cruising along really good. Then it was totally urgent and emergent. And, you know, the infectious capacity of all that stuff really shot healthcare. And we saw that nationally, you know, so, yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to oversimplify, but extractions, simple extractions, simple fillings, is that kind of what we do at our clinics, and then kind of those higher?
So we do crown and bridge, we do dentures, we do endo, okay? But I'm working with an endodontist who is kind of traveling around. I found this guy. He might come in. Wouldn't that be nice? And we could do some root canals and maybe expand that. Once again, getting more services to this bulge in our community that wants to come in and get all their work done. And that's the real frustrating part, that lost that momentum. But as you can see, 500 crowns in 1 year doesn't, maybe to you doesn't, but it's really phenomenal. I have a letter from a tribal member that's down in Fort Hall asking if we could help her. She had a root canal done. It cost her $1,200. She works down there and she can't get into the clinic. So it's a real nightmare over there across the hill. And they're coming. Okay. And so we got to be real judicious about what we do. So, and that page on 97 shows, I keep a composite of every month's production. And like I said, we started at 6,000, 8,000, and we're up to 10. And, you know, we could even, I think, hit close to 12, which is just, that's a lot of patient care. But we need the space and we need the staffing. And that's one of the problems. I've got now hygienists. I've got a temporary hygienist who's from here. Org chart says I can't make her permanent. And so we got to take a look at the org chart stuff. We've got the money to cover that. She's from Arlee. She's a phenomenal lady. And she came to us. She finished in Great Falls. She could have gone and got $10 more in private practice, but she wanted to come back because of she started at SKC. So, just a footnote.
Sorry, I'll ask a question, maybe try to lead the conversation.
Yeah.
Gary, can you talk about staffing, like a dentist can support 2 techs or a tech can
Right.
support 2 dentists? Can you talk about the staffing required to
Sure.
maybe help?
So if I had 3 chairs when I was in private practice, and it's not that I had arms in both of them, but I can get anesthetic started over here working with this patient, my assistant. I go over to the next table chair, and you know, I can work 2 chairs. Right now we're limited to 1 chair. Dr. Burke is limited to 2 chairs in Polson, and which then cuts into our general dentist access. So
that's where, the good news is we need more space. I mean, I'd love to have that whole second floor. I'd love to move optometry. That's my long-term goal. Because we could then start doing some other things. I'd like to do implants,
Oh, well, why don't
especially
you?
for elders.
What's upstairs?
Yeah.
Is there anybody upstairs at the top floor?
Yeah,
There is?
yeah.
Okay.
But an implant retained lower denture, the lower denture is just a real pain in the tail for patients because they swim around. And in fact, I've got a couple of programs that I've already been talking with and looking at that we might be able to sometime. But you can't open that door. We'd also like to do orthodontics for these kids. It's called interceptive. That's how we could start the ortho. You don't want to open that door because everybody's going to want to have braces. But we could define those kids that need it. And Dr. Burke is very competent and capable of doing that as well. Yeah.
Jennifer?
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Pitts. My comment is, I really like your idea of expanding and taking over that whole floor. That would be a really non-invasive way to expand as opposed to, building a different facility or something. And as it is, the optometry section is confusing anyway, because there's some days they're in there, some days they're in Mission. I mean, if people can drive all the way over here from Browning to get a service, we could drive to St. Ignatius and just consolidate it there. Then you'd know where they're going to be every day. Because that is confusing, that some days there, some days in Mission.
Yeah.
And I think it would be a better use of the space. I like that idea a lot.
So we even looked, Joe and I did a walk through the Fisher building, which is right across from the Nerds. And the loss, I don't think you have a chance at a bad time. This beautiful building that was sturdy, and we could move PT in, we could move optometry, we could open up the space, as you've heard, it's a real problem for us. And pardon? It's a 2-story.
Yeah, across the
Right
street.
across from the parking lot for Nerds, for
Oh.
Natural Resources. And then what is it, gambling casinos? They're on that other corner. So we could own all 4 corners, which would be nice. But part of it is we're just constantly struggling with those issues. So we plant those seeds. Think about. So, yeah.
I don't want to interrupt any questions you might have for Gary, but certainly part of the conversations Gary and I have often about, do the numbers support an expansion? Are we creating revenue? Is it not create revenue with those additional visits? How do we measure health status of the patients that are coming through our clinic and make sure we're having that impact also? Those are constant conversations between Gary and myself and the other staff about how we create some measures. So you have some data to help us make those decisions. So we're working on that.
It's a journey.
I think the other important thing maybe to add is, I think the community outreach efforts that Gary has taken to reach out to Head Start or other community functions to have a dental presence there and do those, what are they called, when you put that stuff on there?
Yeah. So
Sealants.
the sealants. And what that does, it's not just the prevention aspect, okay? Because that varnish really does work. We do it 3 to 4 times a year. It allows us to look in those kids' mouths. To me, it's just as important for screening. So when we put sealants here in Ronan and Paulson and St. Ignatius and Arlee, and we can't quite get into Charlotte yet, but Dixon opens the door, Hot Springs opens the door. We send a letter home to the parents, but we also keep a letter. And so we can go back and check to make sure, because sometimes parents don't follow through. But that's what we're seeing, just like with that picture of the board, 60 to 70 kids. No cavities is remarkable. And we're very, very excited about that.
And we'll do Head Start twice a year?
Pardon?
You do Head Start?
3 to 4 times. Yeah, 3 to 4 times we go into Head Start. From Arley all the way to Dayton. So, yeah, those outreach programs, in fact, there's a list. The community outreach mission, we went to preschool and every school district, we met with them and talked about good hygiene, and you'll see some pictures in there on. So 111 is just a kind of a chronology. That was August. That's a lot of community outreach. It's very, very exciting. The vaping, yeah, just before that. Yeah, that's ugly. 110. As we know, we've got a real problem. We were talking outside about the vaping and some of the drugs that are being ingested. And it really, really breaks your heart. I had a guy come in the other day and he said, I got a toothache right here. I said, okay, well, let me take a look. All the teeth were gone. I said, well, what do you want me to do? I can take that tooth out. You can't fix it? I said, there's no tooth there. Oh, could I think about that? He got up and left. But I just, it breaks your heart that, you know, he was that deranged with the medication that he had. So it's just terrible. And the picture before that on, what more was that? So that's what Dr. Berkowitz is going to take it to the hospital. That's a young kid. And then you saw that one with the tissue in disarray. That's vaping. We're seeing that show up now. So, yeah. Go ahead. That's right. That's pardon?
You're deaf too. They're eating
Isn't
the
that
gums
crazy?
away.
Right? So that's the other thing that I want you to understand about dentistry. It's not just about fixing teeth. We work with our diabetics. What's your A1C? If that patient can't tell me what it is, then we start talking about their diabetes, and you need to get into the program. We do blood pressures. So we'll do a blood sugar. We go through all these health. As Joe hears this 100 times, but we're really the portal. A lot of men don't go to see their doctor, their physician, but we'll see them in the dental clinic, and we can be a conduit to make that referral into the medical system as well. So, just a footnote. So,
Gary's always told me it's the gateway to healthcare. Dental care is the gateway to healthcare. So that's often one of the only opportunities we get to start coaching people to some of the other services.
Yeah.
It maybe just a
and they listen. I've got more guys now that are off a chew and exercising and walking and just a little encouragement, because you got to come back for another appointment, and so we have that kind of that captive audience. What page is that? 125. So I even talked with Shine. We've taken a look. We've got 2 offices that are right across the hall from our children's room that we could convert fairly easy into chairs, for peds. And once again, space is difficult, but it wouldn't be impossible to do that. It would take some money. But once again, I think we could certainly more than cover that once we got it going. So, Kim?
So we'll certainly be back as we kind of get some experience with that Kalispell Surgical Center to talk about what that experience has been as we kind of work through expanding what the contract healthcare program can help us cover.
Any specific questions that Gary can answer before we move on?
Jennifer?
Yeah, I just think dental health is so important. We've talked about this before, but it's really tied to so many self-esteem issues. When people are afraid to smile because of dental issues. So I am just really supportive of anything that we can do on our end to make it easier for you to serve as many, tribal member families as possible and to improve their services because if somebody's missing a tooth or a kid has really crooked teeth, it just has such an impact on how they feel about themselves and
Right.
how they navigate through the world and their employability even as older people. You don't see people working at the bank with really bad dental problems. It affects a lot of areas of a person's life. And, on our end, if we could help facilitate you providing more services, I really want, that's a
And
really.
part of it's gonna be finding, excuse me, but like an orthodontist that'll work with us. But I've talked, once again, we're out beating the bush and talking with people, and there just could be that opportunity to open those doors. So yes, very, very important. We also started a program, the IMM money. We've got kids that hit 18 and they can now access that early for ortho. That very issue. So we're trying to resurrect that. We started that about 20 years ago over at the college when we built that clinic there as well. So anyhow, thank you.
Councilwoman Finley, Gary's out kind of searching. I always say Gary knows a guy, or he knows a guy who knows a guy. So he'll find someone who'll be willing to work with us. So that's kind of one of our objectives this year is to expand that service and answer the kind of direction we got from you to make that a priority and better utilize the resources we have to provide dental care going forward.
Yeah, I think it's one of your flagships, is the dental program. And it can mean so much to our workforce, our membership. And Gary, of course, is an outstanding employee. And every time I've been in his chair, it's been a wonderful experience. He's asked me where the diamonds were many times, and I didn't know where they were, Gary. I just didn't know. That's from Marathon Man, if you haven't seen it. Huh? What? Oh, geez.
Thank you.
But it's so important for self-esteem for workers to be able to have that confidence. And I would just encourage, if there's ways to expand, that's certainly one way. If we take third-party revenue to expand it in that way for our workforce, expand that revenue from Medicaid, whatever, Medicare, or whatever is going to be coming. The vets. I don't think we ever went after my brother, for example. Never went after the veterans to help pay for my brother.
Right.
Should have. Maybe could have.
Good. Yeah.
But that kind of stuff is out there to help bring that extra road, to provide that take that third party revenue and expand these things for our people. But I would encourage you to expand more. Please do. I mean, add more chairs. Work too. And I've spent a lot of money on my mouth and some stuff Gary's been able to help me. I just pay for a crown out of my pocket and get that done. But I've taken my other opportunity working here to bank money to go to a private practice and have a whole bunch of work done on my mouth. But it's incredible how that is that first look at someone's health. It is absolutely so true. And you are such an advocate for that. So that's what I mean. It is a flagship because that person's got that toothache and they're dying and they're going to come in. And they're going to finally see a medical provider. And there you are. You got them in the chair, you got them, and you can provide that recommendations and assistance.
I might add to one thing I learned in private practice is that you are lucky to convert 30% of those patients that just call for the first time because they got a toothache to be a regular patient. I didn't know that. 30%. And so that's where we're expanding our hygiene. You don't just get a crown because you want one. You kind of have to earn it. You know, you go through the hygiene, you get your teeth cleaned, you get your fillings done. It would be crazy for me to put a crown on somebody that's going to be losing 2 teeth next to it. You know what I'm saying? And so, but when we have that time with them, you build that relationship. You start changing their oral hygiene, but it changes their life. It really does. They start looking at themselves different, and they're excited and committed. That's 17%. We were down to 13. Amazing. But they understand and they respect our program. Really, really proud of our staff. Yeah, just closing though, we got to pay them. This benchmarking is killing me. I have assistants that can go across the street and make $2, $3 more, which is 60,000, $6,000. Hygienists that can go into Ronan and make $52 an hour. But they want to stay with us, but we got to meet some of those needs. So, and when we're talking about that stuff, don't get me wrong. It's just, we got to really be aware because the last 2 years, things have changed. It just, you can't find them. So they pay more, So anyhow, my wagon,
Thank you, Dr. Pitts. So staffing, recruiting and training staff is a challenge for us across the board, both in the dental program. With IHS has sent out some information about how finding dental staff is a priority for them, and some of the mental health, behavioral health staff is also kind of a gap that they got to figure out how to fill, same as us. So Patricia has agreed to have a conversation with me about kind of that system. So we're going to kind of work through that and figure out how we analyze that particular system.
So one question that I think I brought this up before, Joe, or maybe to Patty or both of you, and that's looking at what insurance we're providing or in our workplace for our employees, and trying to make recommendations of whether or not that insurance provides dental coverage, because so many workers don't check that. They don't go after dental coverage.
Mm-hmm.
But if there was a way to try to incentivize that, does that bring in more third-party revenue? We hit more of these goals that we want to do. I just always try to figure out how can we do that, and what would that be? What would be that insurance? What would be that recommendation that fits best to what we're already providing that we could get that reimbursement for? I just don't know, because actually I don't have it in my GIA. I don't have really much for dental. I maybe get $100, but if there was a recommendation, I might consider it. Right.
And we're
because you are my preferred provider. For me, you're my preferred provider,
Sure.
Not necessarily someone else. But if I had insurance, you could get reimbursed for, then that's a win-win.
And the other part of that, Mr. Chairman, is the fact that we've got a lot of individuals in our community that think, I've got IHS, I've got tribal health, I don't need to sign up for Medicaid. And I've been working with early childhood services. Why don't we make that sign up a part of, they got to sign up for early childhood services, right? They got to sign up to go to Two Eagle. We were going to go in and do a sealant program, and I think it was 70 kids, not one permission slip. Can't go in. Well, I don't know. I've got, you know what I'm saying? So those kinds of things that we're trying to get some attention, but that's money under the bridge. It is. So that working together is really, really critical, and kind of come up simplification. You got 5 kids and Medicaid forms, right? And you got to sign up for this. You got. I've done that before in my previous life, trying to simplify forms. Kevin and I worked on that as well. So I think it's another project. It's a very good point.
Yeah, Patty?
Yeah, so I don't oversee or work for personnel, so I'm not sure I know all the answers. But, we're in open enrollment right now for benefits, and that closes Monday on the 12th. Email that came out today actually says, CS and KT does not offer any separate dental or vision plans. Tribal employers are not able to participate in any of the FED VIP dental and vision plans. So that tells me with most of our insurances that we're offering our employees, they don't have a dental rider that goes with them, which means that's less that can be third-party billed for dental and vision. We can through medical, but not through dental and vision.
And why is that? Is that a self-inflicted wound or what?
I don't know. I said that's something that we need to figure out moving forward.
Well, yeah, as the executive team, I would hope that you would
Absolutely.
advocate for that then, Patty. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's something, I was taking a broad brush and said, well, why not expand the insurance support that the tribes provide employees? But Patty says I've got to be more thoughtful about that and more precise with my request. So we'll take a look at maybe a specific question rather than, I think we pay, what, 79 or 76% of an employee's insurance coverage.
Well, I just don't mean to interrupt again, but look at this. We're taking a bunch of, $100 million a year in compact funding for rebuilding, and we're charging lots of program staff, old program staff, and now it's billable, they can bill to that. That's new revenue that gives an opportunity for us to offer more in insurance and turn it back. It's a form of cannibalism, but it's actually to our benefit. You know?
Yeah. And not only for our benefit for billing for these programs, but also a benefit for recruiting people in. If you're offering a greater level of healthcare, whatever that is.
Because those crowns were the hook. If you get your teeth cleaned by our hygiene and you get your fillings done, we're going to start doing some aesthetic dentistry.
Still hope for you, Martin.
I'm gonna call and say, Dr. Pitts said, get
Dr.
me
Pitts
right.
said, hey, I got my teeth cleaned, you gotta do it.
Yeah.
I'm getting really good too, Martin. I'd be happy to take that.
But, I think, for some reason, I remember the reason why our insurance is the way it is because you guys provide dental and optical. And so upstairs, they're just like, well, why would we get something that covers those? So like, again, that's a personnel department thing that hasn't changed since I've worked for the tribe for a long, long time. And that's, that's a frustration of I'll take my frustration on you guys, but, stagnant departments that don't interact with other departments. I mean, that could be, there are probably millions for you guys at Tribal Health over the time. And personnel just doesn't do anything with it or shop new insurances. And if they do, it's just the same thing. And so, I would hope you guys could open that conversation up with them for sure.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the other thing is that insurances have changed so much lately. And having worked from an organization where we had to work directly with a broker and bring in a series of different insurance plans, we did find that vision and dental were not part of the plans. It's actually a separate rider that you take. I don't understand what it means that, tribal employees cannot do that. But we will definitely look into it.
Yeah,
because I think we should be. So we should explore it a little deeper so that next year when we're at open enrollment for benefits and insurance, hopefully it's there. All right, Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'll move on. On page 27 is kind of our broad goals and objectives for the fiscal year I don't know how much time you want to spend on these specifically, but, on the left column is just broad strokes. On the right is just kind of a short summary of kind of where we're at, given it's December already. These will break down into more specific goals and objectives that the divisions will prepare for me, that we can share with you when we get those opportunities. And those are reflected on page 134. So these are the broad goals. Will break down into some specific detail in these more specific goals this way, and then we'll have the opportunity to give you kind of a status of where they are as we come in front of you to talk about those things with some notes to explain kind of where we're at, what challenges we might face, or what else we might be encountering moving towards those goals. I've included quarter four. I don't see the breakdown in this particular thing, but what I've included here is FY23 goals and outcomes. And I also included in here, didn't see the distinction, that fourth quarter of FY22 is part of this package. I apologize, it's not clearly distinguished between the two. If you sort through that, you'll see that there's 22 status, and then there's a FY23 status. Not clearly defined in this kind of scan and set.
On the first page of each report.
So that's what those documents are.
So the dashboard is just to give you a quick look of what the goals and objectives are of the program and what percentage they are towards meeting that particular goal and objective. Theoretically, we're nearing the end of quarter one. They should be in the red area, right? The 0 to 25%. If they are higher, they're moving a little quicker. But theoretically, you would see them progress to each quarter as the program moves to meet that goal. And Joe gave you FY22 quarter four, just because in our last meeting, we didn't give you the one at the end of the fiscal year 22. So you can see at end of FY22, kind of how they ended up with those goals. And then he also gave you FY23 quarter one, so you can see how they're performing at the end of the first quarter.
I've also included, beginning on page 146, just some data I track. My coder sends me some numbers on completed visits per program or division. It's just a way for me to start tracking progress and seeing how we're doing, if there's some problems or if someone's performing well. So that's what's on page 146. And I've been tracking that information since FY19, as you can see. So we can tell how we're doing year to year, if we're improving or increasing the number of encounters, completed encounters.
What do you consider an encounter?
So an encounter is an appointment that's been scheduled, completed in the provider's office, and then checked out. So there's a kind of a workflow that makes sure that encounter completes and then is forwarded off to the coders, then to the billers. So there's a number of steps that complete an encounter besides just the appointment. There's kind of the administrative functions associated with each of those encounters to make sure it is complete. I'm all out of order here. I've also included on page 152, I recently filled my old position, the business office director position at Tribal Health. I had a number of candidates apply. We went through the screening process. I selected Julie Cahoon as the Business Office Director for Tribal Health Department. She started Monday, so she will take on the old Business Office Director roles. I wanted to share her resume with you just so she's a highly qualified candidate, got some good experience, interviewed well, and just from our conversation, she's just committed to the mission of tribal health and providing just really good care to our community. So she is part of this community. She's committed to providing better care or the best care we can. So I just wanted to show you her resume in case you had some questions about her or from the community about who ended up in that role. I'm excited to have her on board. One, because she's highly qualified, and two, now I don't have to do two things, two jobs at once.
He hasn't been so grouchy.
Doesn't mean you go on vacation, you know.
No. No. And then on page, again, we didn't get a chance to talk to you near the end of the fiscal year. So on page 155 is kind of financial summary about where we ended up. So the first column is kind of the funding source with the account numbers. The column with the budget is kind of the spending authority approved budgets for those particular accounts. The year to date is what we actually spended for that fiscal year. And then there's a balance. Then it assigned, I also identified who was the lead on those particular funding sources. So, and this isn't all of them. I couldn't capture them all. I couldn't keep up. Because funding occurs or comes in during the fiscal year, there are different fiscal years for each funding source or many of the funding sources. The state ones are like a July to June. The federals are fiscal year October to September, and there are some ones that are January to December. So it's hard. You have to actively keep it up to make this accurate, but it just gives you a good sense of how many we're trying to manage and what overall how much resources we have to provide care to the community and how well we did. So
this remind me of I think it was Jesse was trying to get an authorization to spend some diabetic funding. Did she get that or not? So it was like $600,000 that was going to get left on the table. We're going to lose.
yeah, we would have to, we submitted that application for a carryover of those funds in conjunction with an application for a new funding cycle. It's a IHS.
Right, it was a 3-year funding scheme.
Yep.
That you don't know if you got it.
We have not heard. I believe the timeline for that notification was in December, so we should be hearing about that particular funding source.
Well, I'd sure hate to see us lose that money. You know, I'm sure we could use it.
Yeah, historically, they have just allowed us to carry it over. It's kind of routed through the IHS funding source. So historically, they've let us carry.
It's always been a 3-year term, and you've always been able to carry over into the next 3-year period.
Yeah. Historically, we have not utilized that from year to year. We've carried over significant amounts every year. So Jessie has she may have shared this with you, some significant changes to the program. I think she's changed it to a more clinic-based program, and wants to track those health status measures of those diabetics more closely through a clinic encounter rather than supportive measures. So I would guess 600,000 is probably not unusual for a carryover for us. So we're trying to approach that in a different way and better use those resources each year. So generally, just a snapshot about how many different funding sources we're trying to track and utilize, and what the overall resources available to provide healthcare. Not a audited financial statement, but just a general perspective of what we've got available. And then beginning on page 157, I've included some information about efforts we've taken to prepare for the end of the public health emergency. When that ends, Medicaid eligibility will change, and some of the waivers available under that public health emergency will go away. So one of the benefits of the public health emergency was Medicaid recipients did not have to renew every month. They did not have to recertify every month. They had a continuous eligibility. So they've had people who became eligible for Medicaid at the beginning of the pandemic and have remained eligible for Medicaid the entire time without a recertification process. So that will end when that public health emergency ends. So people will be back on a monthly renewal to certify that they're still eligible. So there may be some drop off if we're not really active in getting in front of people to update their application.
I was talking with some of my elder comrades here that talking about Medicare. And if there was a possibility for us to start paying for some of our senior citizens, you know, Medicare B or whatever, that might be an additional expanded service for us, and then additional third-party revenue for you.
Mr. Chairman, we do that in some cases now. If
Can we do that across the board, though?
not across the board, we do it.
Why is that?
If we anticipate some upcoming medical costs that maybe makes more sense, the math makes more sense to us to pay for a Medicare premium versus the healthcare we'll pay out of the PRC, we'll begin paying the premium. Across the board, I don't know what the cost would be. I think it would be brave of us for just to do a broad.
Well, maybe just a partial payment, assist with somebody.
One of the other things that we need to consider is because we can opt in and out of insurance whenever, we just buy insurance too. Because we don't have to wait for the open enrollment to sign up for insurance with the open marketplace. We can buy insurance and opt in and opt out of insurance.
But it's not the same benefit as Medicare B, right?
No, but we can find some insurances that pay, that provide some good coverage. Yeah.
Go ahead, Jennifer.
Chairman, that's an interesting point. Could the numbers for that actually be run to see what would it cost to do that? And what would be the financial benefit? To put it on paper, because I think that's a really interesting point.
Sure. I think we have a general sense of how many elders are eligible for Medicare and chosen that. Yeah, I think we can probably.
Yeah. That would be an interesting benefit.
Well, yeah, I mean, why not? Right.
Yeah.
Could take care of my man Jimmy over here.
And me too.
And Gary. Oh, he's a vet. He's got all kinds of benefits. Jeez.
We'll do that. We'll do that, Matt. Yeah, we can, I think we have a good sense of the number of tribal.
Well, I mean, even if it's just a assistance to our seniors. I mean, they have to prove up they signed up for it and reimburse them a percentage of it, even would lend them to do it. I don't know. Trying to think out of the box.
Good question. Again, we do it on a limited basis. When we're aware of a senior who has Medicare and they've got some known medical.
Sure. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I just think across the board, I'm trying to step up the healthcare across the board. Treat us like everybody else.
And so the first is kind of what our efforts were, trying to get in front of folks and let them know that's coming. The state has been putting that in front of us for a while about the possibility of the public health emergency. They haven't selected a date. They haven't provided that official notice, but they want us to start being prepared for that. And then the second set of documents, this may have been included in your packet when Lisa Evers was here, but it identifies some of the waivers that will also be impacted at the end of the public health emergency. That begins on page 161. That was a big packet. That's a lot of information. 168 pages.
Who gave you homework?
You tell me we need more pandemics to occur.
Or just extend it.
Extend it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The triple, what do they call it? The triple, triple, whatever. The flu, RSV, and COVID.
Yeah.
Reason enough to extend that.
Works for me.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have anything else.
Well, it's been a long day for us. Thank you for coming in. And we appreciate our meetings with you and Dr. Gary. It's always a privilege. We appreciate your program. It's been a benefit to me. I know that.
Thank you for the discussion, because those are some things that, you know, we're always thinking about how we could maybe expand things, and that gives us some guidance. Is what you would like to do too.
Yeah, just boy, get some more third-party revenue into your dental shop, and then add some of the, you know, things we're talking about for self-esteem and, you know, or, yeah.
We'll add those tasks to our work list.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Dark outside.
Yes, it is.
Darn it. Winter solstice coming at us. Okay, who doesn't have their Christmas tree up? You got yours up?
Do not?
What?
Is that a do not?
Do not have them up? Why get early, right? I'll have you know I put up 2 trees this past weekend. Two. No, fake.
Mine's a fake too.
We have a big list.
She got like 15 to choose from.
I switched to fake and Phoenix because I'm like, I'm not contributing to putting that together.
All right, I say we adjourn. We will have a chairs meeting on Monday.
Pardon me?